God has a plan for you. There's something you need to hear tonight. And not just with your ears, but with your spirit. You were not born without purpose. You are not wandering this earth by accident. God has a plan for you. It might not feel like it. Not when the doors keep closing. Not when the people you trusted walk away. Not when the light at the end of the tunnel feels more like a trick of the imagination than a promise fulfilled. But I promise you, just because you can't see the whole path, doesn't mean the path doesn't exist. Sometimes what feels like a setback is actually God setting the stage. What looks like rejection is really redirection. What seems like silence is divine strategy. You see, God is not moved by what you see with your natural eyes. He's moved by what He spoke over your life before you ever took your first breath. He's orchestrating things beyond your understanding, weaving moments, people, and even your pain into something greater than you could imagine. There will be days where you feel invisible, like your gifts don't matter, like your voice is too small to echo in a world that moves too fast. But listen to me. You are not invisible to God. You are not forgotten. You are not lost. You are exactly where you need to be, even if it doesn't feel like it. You have to trust that the process is holy. The struggle is sacred. The waiting is not wasted. You're in the hands of a Creator who doesn't make mistakes. Every scar you carry is a line in the story He's writing. Every delay is an act of love that will make sense in time. Every no you've ever heard is making room for a better yes. So don't rush the becoming. Don't curse the journey. Don't compare your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 22. Stay faithful. Stay rooted. Stay available. Because the moment you think nothing's happening, that's often when God is working the hardest behind the curtain. And when the time is right, we won't have to chase anything. The calling will call you. The doors will open because God touched the handle. The people you are meant to impact will hear your voice like a trumpet in the wilderness. You don't need to force what is already ordained. You just need to believe again. Believe in the promise. Believe in your anointing. Believe that your life is part of something eternal, something divine, something unshakable. This isn't about fame. It's not about applause. It's not about platforms or positions. It's about purpose. It's about obedience. It's about walking like your steps are ordered, because they are. You are a light in a world that desperately needs healing. You carry something sacred. Don't dim it to fit in. Don't bury it to be safe. You were born to rise, to fight the good fight, to carry your cross and walk with fire in your bones. So stand tall, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because your story, yes, your story is part of God's greater plan. And the world needs what's in you. Not later. Now. Let that truth settle in your spirit. Let it silence the lies. Let it awaken the part of you that's been sleeping under fear, under doubt, under delay. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are chosen. God has a plan for you. And when it unfolds, you'll see that every tear had a purpose. Every loss carried a lesson. And every step was guided by a hand that never let you go. There's something sacred about knowing you were born with purpose. Not just a general idea or a vague hope, but a specific divine intentional design over your life. And sometimes the greatest battle you will ever fight is not against people, systems, or even circumstances. It's against the lie that tells you your life doesn't matter. Against that quiet whisper that says you are replaceable, unseen, unneeded. But the truth, you carry something inside you that no one else on this earth ever could. A fingerprint of the divine. A voice meant to echo in places where silence has settled. A presence that shifts the atmosphere when you walk into a room, even if you don't notice it yet. The world will try to convince you that purpose looks like recognition, like standing on stages or being praised in public. That purpose is often quiet. It's in how you love people. It's in how you show up when no one else will. It's in the way you carry truth when everyone else bows to comfort. Purpose isn't always glamorous. Sometimes it looks like pressing on when everything in you wants to quit. Sometimes it's staying faithful to a dream that hasn't manifested yet. Sometimes it's believing in the promise even while you're walking through the wilderness. You are not an accident, not the product of chance or the result of randomness. Before you ever had a name, you had a calling. Before you ever cried your first tear, heaven had already whispered your assignment. That's how intentional your existence is. The world might not always validate you. People might overlook you. But God never misplaces what He creates with love. You were carved out of vision, molded with power, released into this world for such a time as this. There are lives attached to your obedience. There are doors waiting for your footsteps. There are answers waiting for your yes. And the beautiful thing is, you don't need to have it all figured out to be in purpose. Sometimes purpose unfolds one small step at a time, like a seed that becomes a tree, like a note that becomes a song, like a moment that becomes a legacy. You don't have to force your purpose to be real. You just have to agree with it. Walk in it, speak from it, breathe like it lives in you, because it does. There's a reason the enemy fights your mind so hard. There's a reason you faced storms that others didn't. Because when purpose is on your life, pressure will come. But pressure doesn't mean you're off track. It means something inside you is being activated. Purpose will demand you stretch. It will call you higher. It will pull you out of your comfort zone. And sometimes that feels like pain, but it's really just growth. Sometimes that looks like isolation, but it's really preparation. Sometimes it looks like losing everything, but it's really God clearing space for what can't be built on broken foundations. There will be days when you question it all, days when it seems like nothing is working, days when the weight feels heavier than the promise. But even then, especially then, you must remember who you are. You are not just someone trying to make it through. You are a vessel of light, a mirror of glory, a living testimony of what grace can do. Even your mistakes can't cancel the plan God has for you. Even your detours can't erase your destiny. You're not powerful enough to destroy what God has ordained. That should give you peace. That should remind you that your value isn't up for debate. You were chosen, handpicked, loved into existence. And because of that, you can walk with your head held high, not in arrogance, but in divine confidence. Because when you know you were made on purpose, for a purpose, you stop begging for permission to be who you already are. You stop asking the world to confirm what heaven already declared. You stop shrinking when you were born to rise. The truth is, your very breath is proof that purpose still lives in you. If you're still here, you're still needed. If you're still waking up, then there's still work for your life to do. That should give you hope. That should light something inside you again. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to trust that the one who called you knows how to lead you. And when you start walking in that truth, things begin to shift. Not always around you, sometimes within you. Fear starts to lose its grip. Insecurity begins to fade. And you begin to see yourself not as a mistake trying to be fixed, but as a miracle still unfolding. So, never question whether your life matters. It does, more than you know. And if you ever forget, remember this. God doesn't make extras. He doesn't make fillers. He only makes originals. And you, my friend, are one of them. But even with all that purpose resting on your life, it doesn't mean the journey will be smooth. In fact, sometimes it will feel like everything is working against you. The vision will burn in your heart, but the doors won't open. The calling will ring in your ears, but the world will seem to ignore it. That's when the second truth must settle in your soul. Setbacks are setups for destiny. It's easy to believe in purpose when everything's going right, when you're winning, when the applause is loud. But the real test of destiny is in how you handle the no's, the delays, the betrayals, because those aren't the end of your story. They're the tools that build it. Sometimes God uses opposition to sharpen your focus. Sometimes He lets you walk through the fire, so you come out pure, not because He's punishing you, but because He's preparing you. There are blessings that require brokenness first. Not because God delights in your pain, but because certain levels of growth can only be accessed through pressure. And that pressure, that heartbreak, that failure, that rejection, it's not a stop sign. It's a divine turning point. Every time the door closed, you were being protected. Every time someone walked away, you were being aligned. Every time you hit a wall, heaven was building a different road. But in the moment, it hurts. I won't lie to you. It feels personal. It feels unfair. You look around and wonder why others seem to be rising, while you're stuck. You question whether you missed your window, whether you misunderstood the calling. But let me tell you, delay is not denial. Delay is training ground. And often the deeper your calling, the longer the preparation. God doesn't build skyscrapers overnight. He digs deep foundations for what He plans to raise high. That means your silent seasons are not wasted. Your wilderness is not random. Your private battles are not meaningless. They are chapters in the story of becoming. They are evidence that something powerful is forming in you. Don't curse the setback. Don't despise the pause. Because in those very moments, God is doing some of His greatest work. He's stripping away what you thought you needed. He's realigning your heart. He's positioning you for something greater than you even prayed for. And when the time is right, when your character matches your calling, when your heart is fully surrendered, when your vision is purified, you'll look back and realize that everything that felt like a loss was actually a win in disguise. You'll see how the betrayal gave you clarity, how the closed door saved your soul, how the lonely nights built your faith, how the tears watered the ground for something new. You'll realize that destiny was never on hold. It was simply being shaped in silence. There's a weight to true purpose, a cost. And part of that cost is learning how to hold on when nothing makes sense. Learning how to trust when your hands are empty, but your heart is full of promise. Learning how to stand when everything in you wants to lie down and quit. Because the promise is still true, even when the process is painful. What feels like a setback is often God reverting you to something more powerful than you asked for. What looks like a detour is really a divine redirection. You're not late, you're not behind. You're not forgotten. You are in training. You are in transformation. You are on holy ground, even if it looks like a battlefield. So don't let the setbacks convince you to give up on the vision. Don't let the pain silence your voice. Don't let the delay convince you that destiny skipped your name. Because the very things that tried to break you will one day become the testimony that builds others. You're not just surviving this for yourself. You're surviving for the people who will come after you, for the ones who will look at your life and find hope. You are paving a road that others will walk, and they need you to rise. They need you to keep going. They need you to believe again. So let the setbacks come. Let the obstacles rise, because when God is the author of your story, even your lowest chapters are filled with purpose. And when the fullness of time comes, destiny will arrive, not in spite of your pain, but because of it. You were born with purpose, and even in the setback, God is still setting you up to fulfill it. It's easy to love the promise, easy to get excited about the destination, about the blessing, the breakthrough, the moment when everything finally comes together and makes sense. But what's not easy to love is the process, the in-between, the moments when your heart is full of vision, but your hands are still empty, when God speaks a word over your life, but nothing around you looks like that word could possibly come true. And in those moments, it's tempting to see the process as punishment, to believe that because it hurts, because it's hard, because it's lonely, then somehow you've done something wrong. But the truth is deeper than your discomfort. The process isn't punishment. The process is preparation. The process is sacred. It's where God molds you, shapes you, strips you of what can't go with you into the next level. It's where He teaches your spirit to trust Him when your eyes see nothing and your ears hear silence. It's where He breaks off ego, pride, fear, and insecurity. So what's left is pure, wholly strong enough to carry the weight of your calling. You see, everyone wants the glory. Few want the grind. Everyone wants the crown, but not everyone wants the cross that comes before it. And yet, without the cross, without the crushing, without the discipline, without the midnight wrestling, there can be no resurrection. There can be no elevation. There can be no authority that wasn't first forged in adversity. It's in the fire that gold is refined. It's in the wilderness that identity is revealed. And it's in the waiting room that character is formed. So don't despise the process. Don't resist it. Don't wish it away. Because what God is doing in you during the waiting is just as important, if not more, than what He's going to do through you later. You can't skip the process and expect to stand in purpose, because without the process, you'll lack the depth. You'll lack the humility. You'll lack the discernment to handle what God wants to give you. There's a version of you that exists after the breaking, after the struggle, after the lessons you didn't ask for, but desperately needed. And that version is the one who's ready. We live in a world that's addicted to speed, But God is committed to depth. And depth takes time. It takes pruning. It takes silence. It takes repeated tests of your heart, your motives, your surrender. Not to hurt you, but to heal you. Not to break you, but to build you. Because God doesn't want to just bless you. He wants to make sure the blessing doesn't destroy you once it arrives. There are things you're praying for that your character isn't ready to hold yet. There are rooms you're asking to enter that require a version of you that hasn't been fully formed. And God loves you too much to give you something that would crush you before you're ready to carry it. So He lets the process do its work. He allows the tension, the disappointment, the stretching, because He sees beyond what you see. He knows what you'll face 5 years from now. He knows the weight that's coming with the glory. He knows that if He doesn't strengthen your shoulders now, you'll collapse under the blessing later. It doesn't feel good. It won't always make sense. But faith is born in that very space where obedience lives even when the outcome is uncertain, where worship rises even when the walls haven't fallen, where surrender becomes more than a song. It becomes your posture, your breath, your identity. Some of the most powerful people in the kingdom are the ones who were hidden the longest, who had to learn to love God without applause, who had to show up day after day when no one was watching, who had to preach to their own reflection and believe their calling when no platform validated it, because they understood the process wasn't punishment. It was intimacy. It was transformation. It was divine setup. And one day when the page turns, when the light shifts and the doors begin to open, you'll realize it wasn't the spotlight that made you powerful. It was the dark room where God developed you. It was the secret place, the long nights, the tears no one saw. That's where you became who you really are. That's where the oil was pressed out of you. That's where the fire made your faith unshakable. So take heart. If you're in the process, you're in the presence. If you're being stretched, you're being sanctified. If you're walking through the valley, you're being prepared for the mountain. Nothing is being wasted. Not the silence, not the struggle, not the slow days. It all matters. It's all being used. And while you're walking through the process, never forget, just because you can't see God working doesn't mean He's not. That leads to another truth that must anchor your soul. God works behind the curtain. We live in a world obsessed with evidence, with proof, with things we can touch and measure and post online. But the kingdom doesn't move like that. God often does His best work in silence, in secret. Behind the scenes where no one's looking, while you're sleeping, while you're crying, while you're questioning whether He even heard your last prayer. You may not feel Him. You may not see Him. But you are not forsaken. Heaven is not quiet, it's strategic. Sometimes what feels like divine absence is actually divine activity in a higher realm. God is not inactive. He is invisible. And there's a big difference. He moves pieces you don't know exist. He sets up connections you haven't seen yet. He speaks your name in rooms your feet haven't entered. He shifts hearts, opens doors, rewrites plans, all without asking for your permission or announcing it on the front page. Because real transformation doesn't need an audience. Miracles don't begin in the spotlight. They begin in the shadows, in the secret dealings of heaven, in the holy conversations between destiny and time. So don't measure God's movement by what your eyes can see. Don't assume nothing's happening just because your life feels still. God isn't on your schedule. He doesn't operate on human timelines. He doesn't need your calendar to release His glory. Faith means trusting that even in the silence, God is speaking. Even in the pause, God is planning. Even in the stillness, God is moving. And when He moves, He doesn't have to explain it to anyone. He just does it. Suddenly, swiftly, sovereignly, in ways that leave no doubt who was behind it all along. You may think your prayers are being ignored, but every word has been heard, stored, weighted with attention, because God doesn't just listen. He strategizes. He doesn't just react. He authors. He's writing a story that's bigger than your moment of confusion, bigger than your season of pain, bigger than your current lack of understanding. And one day the curtain will rise. The lights will turn on. And what you thought was forgotten will be revealed as fully formed. You'll see how all the pieces fit. You'll understand why certain things had to fall apart. You'll realize that the silence wasn't abandonment. it was orchestration. That heaven was working every moment, aligning every step, crafting a testimony far beyond your own imagination. You see, God isn't just interested in your comfort. He's invested in your completion. And that means sometimes He has to let you walk through rooms where you can't trace Him, so you'll learn to trust Him. Sometimes He hides the evidence so your faith can grow. Sometimes He steps behind the curtain, so your worship is no longer tied to what He gives, but who He is. He's not ignoring you. He's building something. Carefully, deliberately, layer by layer, in you and around you. And when the time is right, when your heart is ready, when your character is steady, He will pull back the curtain. And what felt like delay will be revealed as design. You'll look back and say, now I see it. Now I understand. He was working the whole time. He was protecting me when I thought I was being punished. He was promoting me when I thought I was being passed over. He was faithful, even when I couldn't feel Him. That's the God you serve. The one who works in mystery, the one who hides treasures in dark places, the one who is always on time even when He doesn't move on your timeline, the one who calls you to trust not just in what He does but in who He is. So don't lose heart. Don't give up. Don't curse the process. Don't fear the silence. Something holy is happening behind the curtain. Something divine is unfolding in the shadows. And when it's ready, when you're ready, the curtain will rise. The door will open. The season will shift. And you'll realize God was working all along. Pain has a way of trying to convince you that your life has lost its meaning. That because it hurts, because you feel broken, because you're walking through a storm you didn't ask for and didn't see coming, somehow your purpose must have expired. Pain whispers lie, tells you that what you're going through is pointless, that your suffering is wasted, that the dream must be dead because the night has been too long and the road has been too hard. But pain is not the end of your story. Pain is not a full stop. It is a comma, a pause, a sacred transition, a holy invitation. Because the truth is, your purpose isn't cancelled by your pain. It's often clarified by it. Purpose is not found in perfect moments. It's found in pressure, in tension, in heartbreak, in the valley where you thought you were alone, but God was pulling you deeper into Himself. The pain doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're alive. It means your heart still feels, your soul still longs, and in that ache, God is still speaking, still moving, still drawing you into a divine understanding that everything has purpose. Even the tears, even the seasons that didn't end the way you hoped, even the silence that seemed to last too long. There are parts of you that only come alive in the fire. There is a strength that only reveals itself after the breaking. There is a wisdom you could never access until you walked through something that forced you to let go of what you thought you knew. And yes, it hurts. But pain is often the birthing place of divine revelation. You begin to see differently, hear differently, walk differently, because you've been changed by the crushing, and that change is sacred. God is not a waster of wounds. He collects every tear. He records every cry. He understands every groan too deep for words. And in His hands, even your sorrow becomes seed. Even your suffering becomes sacred soil. You may not understand the why right now, but you can trust the who. The God who formed you didn't abandon you when the storm came. He's in the storm with you, not watching from a distance, but holding you in the middle of it, shaping something eternal in the temporary chaos. You don't have to wait until it makes sense to believe it has purpose. You don't have to feel strong to be held by strength. And you don't have to see the outcome to trust the process. What you're going through is not random. It's not meaningless. It's not a cosmic accident. It's part of something bigger, something eternal. God uses pain not to destroy you, but to transform you, to awaken the gifts that comfort never could. There are people you will heal one day because of the wounds you're carrying today. There are words you will speak that carry power because they were forged in silence and sorrow. There is a depth you will offer the world that only came because you were willing to let God meet you in the depths of your brokenness. So don't run from the pain. Don't numb it. Don't pretend it's not there. Take it to God. Let Him hold it. Let Him hold you. And as you do, you'll begin to see how even this, especially this, is shaping your destiny. You are not disqualified because you're hurting. You are not forgotten because you're struggling. Your life still matters. Your story still speaks. Your breath still carries purpose. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply keep going. Get up one more time. Breathe again, believe again, hope again. Even if your voice trembles, even if your steps are slow, that's faith, that's courage, that's purpose in motion. You may not feel strong, but your perseverance is sacred warfare. Every time you refuse to give up, you declare to the darkness that you still believe your life has meaning. And it does, not in spite of the pain, but through it. Which leads us into a truth that completes the picture. You are already equipped for this journey. You may not feel like it. You may be looking at your life right now, counting all the things you lack, all the reasons you think you're not ready. You might be thinking, God, I need more time, more strength, more resources, more support. But what if I told you, you already have everything you need? What if I told you that God, in His infinite wisdom, doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called? That when He formed you, He deposited inside of you gifts you haven't even discovered yet. That when He breathed life into you, He breathed divine potential, hidden in the soil of your soul, waiting for the right season, the right pressure to bloom. You don't have to be perfect to be purposeful. You don't have to have it all together to be powerful. You just have to be willing to trust that God doesn't make mistakes, that He doesn't give assignments without first giving the anointing to fulfill them. You may feel small, but the one who lives in you is mighty. You may feel unqualified, but God's grace is your credential. You've survived things that should have broken you. You've walked through fires that tried to consume you. You've faced storms that made you question everything. But you're still here, still breathing, still pressing forward. That's not just survival, that's strength, that's endurance, that's divine evidence that God has been equipping you all along. You've got insight now that you didn't have before. You've got empathy now that only comes from experience. You've got spiritual muscles now that were built through carrying burdens in prayer. You've got wisdom now that was sharpened in the dark. And you've got a voice now that's been refined by silence, by surrender, by sacred pain. Stop underestimating what's inside of you. The dream God gave you wasn't random. The vision isn't impossible. You were made for this, even if you're scared. Even if you've never done it before. Even if no one in your family ever walked this road, you are chosen. You are the one who breaks the cycle, who builds the bridge, who carries the light into places that have only known darkness. The enemy wants you to focus on what you lack, but God wants you to focus on who you are. You are chosen, you are anointed, you are capable, not because of your resume, but because of His Spirit. You carry within you the same power that raised Christ from the dead. That's not a metaphor, that's real. That's eternal. That's holy fire in your bones. You are more equipped than you know. You've been walking with God longer than you think. Every battle has taught you something. Every delay has stretched your discernment. Every disappointment has deepened your dependence. And now you stand at the edge of something new. Not because you have every answer, but because you finally know who to trust. You don't need more. You need to recognize what's already in your hands. You've got faith, you've got experience, you've got prayer, you've got favor, you've got a calling that can't be revoked, and you've got a God who never leaves, never fails, never forgets. You don't have to wait for perfect circumstances to move. Just move, just walk, just step. And every step will reveal more strength, more clarity, more of the God who walks beside you, in you and ahead of you. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone else. Your path is unique. Your story is specific. Your voice is needed. You are equipped. Not because life has been easy, but because grace has been sufficient. So go forward, not in fear, but in faith. Not in striving, but in surrender. You are already enough, already ready, already anointed for what's next. Trust that. Trust God, and trust the treasure He's placed within you. You don't have to wait to become what God has already called you. You just have to believe it and walk in it. And so, as you stand at the edge of everything you've walked through, every valley, every victory, every sleepless night and whispered prayer, let this be the moment you remember who you are. Let this be the moment you stop shrinking to fit the pain of your past and start expanding to hold the promise of your future. Because God has never taken his eyes off you, not for a second, not through the chaos, not through the confusion, not even when you doubted yourself. He has been weaving purpose through every season, even the ones that broke you. He has been working in the shadows, equipping you in the silence, refining you in the fire. And now he's calling you not to perfection, but to alignment. Not to strive, but to trust. Because everything you've lived through has been preparation for this moment. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are right on time for destiny. So lift your head, straighten your shoulders, silence the lies that say you're not enough, and step forward, not because you have all the answers, but because you know the one who does. Step forward, because you understand now the pain didn't break you, it built you. The process didn't punish you, it positioned you. And you are no longer waiting to become, you are walking as who God has already called. You are chosen, you are ready, and you are already enough. Now go live like it. There is no situation so dark, no obstacle so great that God cannot make a way. What seems impossible to the human mind is but an opportunity for divine intervention. The walls that stand before you, the chains that bind you, the mountains that block your path, none of these can withstand the power of faith. When you believe, truly believe, the way will appear, and what seemed immovable will dissolve before your eyes. The physical world reflects the inner world. If you see only obstacles, it is because your inner vision is clouded with doubt and fear. But when you awaken to the truth that God has already provided the way, even before you ask, your reality begins to shift. The Red Sea did not part when the Israelites stood in fear. It parted when they moved forward in faith. Their deliverance was waiting, but they had to take the first step. So it is with you. The way is already made, but you must step into it. You are not trapped. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. The very moment you turn inward and surrender your struggle to God, a shift begins. It may not be visible to the natural eye, but deep within, the divine forces are rearranging circumstances, opening doors, and making the impossible possible. The prison you feel locked in is not real. It is the illusion of limitation. God does not see barriers, only possibilities. When you align with His vision, your world will transform. Do not wait for proof before you believe. Believe and the proof will follow. When you accept that God is working behind the scenes, preparing the perfect outcome, your fear loses its power. The walls of Jericho did not crumble because of human effort. They fell because faith demanded it. Speak to your mountain with unwavering certainty, and it will move. It is not your struggle that brings victory, but your absolute trust in the divine. God's way is not always revealed in advance. Often it unfolds step by step, each moment leading to the next in perfect order. Your task is not to figure out how it will happen, but to know that it already has. When you declare with full conviction that your path is clear, you will begin to see signs of its manifestation. The phone call, the opportunity, the unexpected help, it will come, and it will come at the perfect time. What once seemed like a dead end will become a passage. The sickness, the financial crisis, the heartbreak, these are not the end of your story. They are the moments before the breakthrough. When all seems lost, when every door appears shut, that is the exact moment God steps in. His ways are higher, His methods beyond comprehension, but His promise is unshakable. He will make a way where there is no way. It does not matter how long you have waited or how impossible it seems. The God who formed the stars, who commanded the light to shine from darkness, is the same God who is working in your life now. Open your heart, trust completely, and watch as the way is revealed before you. The breakthrough is already happening. The miracle is already on its way. Believe it, receive it, and walk forward in faith. There is a divine intelligence at work in your life, orchestrating every event, every circumstance, every so-called delay, to bring about a result far greater than you can imagine. When you stand at the edge of despair, thinking there is no way forward, that is the moment when the unseen hand of God is preparing your deliverance. The human mind sees limitations, but the spirit within you knows no boundaries. What appears to be an impossible situation is merely the unfolding of a divine plan you have yet to comprehend. You may be asking, how can I move forward when every door is closed? But the truth is, no door is ever truly shut to those who walk in faith. The obstacles you see are the illusions of the physical world, shaped by doubt, fear, and the belief in limitation. But the moment you shift your perception and recognize that God has already made a way, your reality begins to change. It does not matter how severe the situation appears. It does not matter if you have been told there is no hope. The world may say no, but God always says yes to those who align with His truth. The first step in seeing the way out of your impossible situation is to stop looking at the problem and start looking within. The answer is not in the struggle, not in the endless worrying, not in the desperate search for solutions. The answer is in the stillness, in the quiet confidence that God is already moving on your behalf. The moment you accept this, the burden lifts. You no longer carry the weight of uncertainty, for you understand that divine order is working in ways beyond human understanding. God does not require your effort, He requires your trust. The walls of Jericho did not fall because of human strength, but because of obedience to divine instructions. The sea did not part because of panic, but because of unwavering faith. Your situation, no matter how dire, is no different. The moment you stop wrestling with it and surrender it completely to God, things begin to shift. Solutions arise where there were none. A way forward appears in the midst of chaos. The prison doors swing open not because you forced them, but because divine power has commanded it. Faith is not just believing that God exists. It is knowing that He is active in your life right now. It is the deep, unshakable conviction that even in the silence, even when nothing seems to be happening, the way is being prepared. The caterpillar may feel trapped in darkness, unaware that transformation is taking place. But in perfect timing, the cocoon breaks and it emerges as a butterfly. So it is with you. Your struggle is not permanent. What appears to be an ending is merely the preparation for a glorious new beginning. There is no situation too complex for God to resolve. There is no sickness He cannot heal, no loss He cannot restore, no door He cannot open. The key is not to ask how it will happen, but to trust that it already has. When you pray, do not plead as if you are separate from the answer. Instead, declare with confidence that your way is clear, that the impossible is being made possible, that you are walking in divine favor. Speak as though the problem is already solved, and watch as reality conforms to your faith. Your words carry power. Every thought, every declaration, every emotion shapes the world around you. When you declare that you are stuck, you reinforce that reality. When you affirm that nothing is working, you align yourself with struggle. But the moment you shift your words and declare that God is making a way, that miracles are unfolding, that doors are opening, everything begins to change. It is not magic, it is divine law. The moment you see beyond the illusion of limitation, the prison doors swing open, the chains fall off, and you step into the freedom that was yours all along. Do not let fear dictate your vision. Fear will always show you walls, closed doors, and reasons why you cannot move forward. But faith reveals the path beneath your feet, the light in the darkness, the invisible hand guiding you. The moment you choose to see through the eyes of faith, your entire world shifts. What once seemed like a dead end becomes a gateway to greater blessings. The pain you endured becomes the foundation of your strength. The delay you resented becomes the very thing that positioned you for something greater. The world will tell you that you need proof before you believe, but God tells you to believe before you see. This is the essence of faith. When the Israelites were told to march around Jericho, there was no visible sign that the walls would fall. When Jesus told the sick to rise, there was no physical evidence that healing had occurred until they obeyed. Your breakthrough is waiting for you to step into it, to act as if the way is already made. The moment you walk in the certainty of divine provision, miracles unfold before you. Your impossible situation is not meant to break you. It is meant to awaken you. It is meant to lift you beyond human reasoning and into the realm of divine understanding. Every great victory comes after a moment that seemed insurmountable. Every answered prayer comes after a season of waiting. But those who refuse to give in to doubt, those who stand firm in the conviction that God is making a way, will always see the impossible bow before them. Do not measure your future by what your physical eyes see. What you see is temporary, but the unseen is eternal. The delays, the struggles, the closed doors, they are not permanent. The moment you stop fighting against them and start trusting in divine order, they lose their hold on you. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are not at the mercy of external conditions. You are a child of the Most High, and He has declared that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. No obstacle can stand before the power of God working within you. The answer is already here. The way is already made. The miracle is already unfolding. Do not wait for the evidence to believe. Believe now and the evidence will follow. Speak as if the victory is already won and you will walk into it. Move forward with absolute confidence, knowing that the hand of God is clearing the path before you. What once seemed impossible is bowing to the power of faith. Your breakthrough is inevitable. Your way is opening. Walk boldly, for God is leading you into something greater than you have ever imagined. There is no obstacle that can withstand the power of faith. What seems like an impossible situation to you is already being worked out by divine hands. You may look around and see no way forward, but that does not mean the way is not there. It simply means you have not yet aligned yourself with the vision of God. When you stop relying on your own understanding and surrender to His higher wisdom, you will see what was hidden from you before. The walls before you are not real in the eyes of God. They are only as strong as your belief in them. The moment you believe in the way instead of the obstacle, the way will reveal itself to you. You may be surrounded by circumstances that tell you there is no way out. The bills are piling up, the diagnosis is grim, the opportunities seem scarce, every direction you turn you see resistance. But that is not the final word. The physical world is not the ultimate reality. It is merely a reflection of the state of your faith. If you accept what you see as permanent, you close yourself off to the miracle. But the moment you declare that God has already made a way, even before you see it, the foundation of your circumstances begins to shift. The unseen forces of the divine begin to move on your behalf, aligning events, opening doors, preparing a breakthrough that will come in ways you never expected. You must choose today whether you will believe in the problem or the promise. The problem shouts at you, demanding your attention, pulling you into fear and doubt. But the promise whispers in your heart, steady and unshaken, reminding you that God never fails. Every miracle begins with someone who refuses to accept the limitations of the world. Every breakthrough happens when someone decides that faith is stronger than fear. The Red Sea did not part for those who stood still in doubt. It parted for those who stepped forward despite their fear. You must do the same. You must walk as if the way is already made, and you will find that it is. Faith is not passive. It is not sitting back and waiting for a sign. Faith is action. It is speaking the victory before it happens. It is walking as though the walls have already fallen. It is rejoicing before the miracle arrives. When you align yourself with this truth, when you live as if the way is already open, you invite the impossible to bow before you. The world responds to what you believe, not to what you wish for. If you believe in lack, you will see lack. If you believe in struggle, you will see struggle. But if you believe that God has already provided, your reality will begin to mirror that truth. God's way is never the way of the world. The world tells you that you need resources before you move forward, that you need evidence before you believe. But God says, believe first, and the evidence will follow. The world tells you to fear the unknown, but God tells you that He has already gone ahead of you to prepare the path. The world tells you that you are trapped, but God tells you that you are already free. Which voice will you listen to? The moment you choose to trust in divine provision over human limitation, you step into a reality where miracles are not only possible, they are inevitable. There is no delay in divine timing. What appears to be a delay is often preparation. The seed does not break the ground the moment it is planted. It grows in silence, in the unseen realm, until the moment comes when it bursts forth into the light. So it is with your breakthrough. Just because you do not see movement does not mean nothing is happening. Trust that every prayer has been heard, every step of faith has been noted, and every obstacle is already being dismantled in ways you cannot yet see. Fear will always try to convince you that you are alone, that no one sees your struggle, that nothing will change. But that is the greatest lie of all. You are not alone. You have never been alone. Even in your darkest hour, the divine presence has been guiding you, whispering to you, making a way where there seemed to be none. The battle is not yours to fight. It is already won. The moment you stop fighting and start trusting, the battle dissolves. The moment you let go of worry and hold on to faith, the answers come. The moment you stop looking at the impossibility and start declaring that God is making a way, you step into the reality of the miracle. Do not wait for the situation to change before you believe. Believe now and the situation will change. Do not wait for the breakthrough to rejoice. Rejoice now and the breakthrough will manifest. Everything is unfolding according to divine order. Nothing is out of place. Every closed door, every delay, every difficulty is positioning you for something greater than you can imagine. Your part is not to figure out how it will happen. Your part is to stand in unwavering faith, knowing that it already has. The greatest transformations happen when you surrender completely to divine will. When you release the need to control, the need to understand, the need to see immediate results, you allow God to work freely in your life. There is nothing outside of His reach. There is no challenge too great, no burden too heavy, no path too lost for Him to restore. When you align yourself with divine truth, you become unstoppable. No force of darkness can stand against the light within you. No limitation can remain when you declare that God is your source. No fear can hold you when you walk in the assurance that all things are working together for your good. Your mind may tell you that your situation is too difficult, that your past mistakes have disqualified you, that you have waited too long. But none of that is true. There is no situation beyond redemption. There is no failure that cannot be turned into victory. There is no loss that cannot be restored. The moment you accept that God's power is greater than any challenge you face, your circumstances begin to align with that truth. The healing begins, the opportunities arise. The doors that were once locked begin to swing open effortlessly. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are standing at the threshold of a miracle, and all that is required of you is faith. Speak as if it is already done. Walk as if the way is already open. Rejoice as if the answer has already arrived. The power of God is moving in ways you cannot see, working through situations you thought were hopeless, bringing you closer to the breakthrough that has already been set in motion. Stand firm. Do not waver. Do not be moved by what your eyes see, but by what your heart knows to be true. The way is open. The answer is here. Your victory is certain. Keep moving forward, for the impossible has already been made possible. Your reality is not shaped by what is happening around you. It is shaped by what is happening within you. Every limitation you see in your life is only a reflection of the limitations you have accepted in your mind. The moment you change your belief, the moment you declare that God has already made a way, the barriers begin to fall. You are not bound by circumstances. You are not trapped by what appears to be an impossible situation. You are being prepared for something greater. What looks like a dead end is only the foundation for a divine breakthrough. The delay is not denial, it is alignment. The waiting is not punishment, it is preparation. You may feel that time is running out, that you have been waiting for too long, that nothing is changing. But the truth is, the moment you plant the seed of faith, the harvest begins to form in the unseen. You do not need to know how it will happen, you only need to know that it will. The same power that parted the Red Sea, the same power that made water flow from a rock, the same power that multiplied 5 loaves and 2 fish to feed thousands, is the power working in your life right now. It does not matter what the world says is possible. It only matters what God has already declared. Every time you declare that there is no way, you limit yourself from seeing the way that is already before you. Every time you speak defeat, you align yourself with the very obstacles that are trying to hold you back. But the moment you speak in faith, the moment you declare that God has already provided, the moment you walk as if the answer is already here, the impossible begins to move. Doors you never knew existed will open. People you have never met will be positioned to help you. Resources you never expected will find their way to you. The whole universe will shift to make room for the manifestation of what you have believed. God does not need logic to work a miracle. He does not need perfect conditions. He does not need human approval. He does not need the situation to make sense. When He says it is done, it is done. Your only task is to align yourself with that truth. You do not need to struggle. You do not need to fight against what is unfolding. All you need to do is surrender in faith, to trust in the unseen, to know with absolute certainty that the way is already made. The biggest enemy of your breakthrough is doubt. The moment you entertain doubt, you begin to undo the work that has already begun. The moment you let fear take root, you delay what has already been set in motion. But when you stand firm, when you refuse to be moved by what your eyes see, when you hold on to faith even in the midst of uncertainty, nothing can stop what God has ordained for you. Every great move of God begins with someone who dares to believe when everything around them says otherwise. You do not need to wait until everything is perfect to act as if your prayer has been answered. You do not need to wait until you see evidence before you celebrate. You must rejoice now. You must walk now. You must act as if it is already done now, because in the realm of the divine, it is already finished. The moment you align yourself with that reality, the manifestation follows. There are no limits in God. There are no restrictions. There are no impossible situations. What seems like an end to you is only the beginning of something greater. What seems like a loss is only a setup for restoration beyond what you can imagine. Your part is not to worry about how it will happen. Your part is to believe, to trust, to stand firm, to hold on to the promise even when everything around you contradicts it. Do not let the voices of fear drown out the voice of truth. Do not let the opinions of others shake your faith. Do not let temporary struggles make you forget that your victory is eternal. Everything that you are facing right now is preparing you for something beyond what you can comprehend. Every challenge, every delay, every closed door is working together to bring you into alignment with the breakthrough that is already yours. Stop looking at what is missing and start thanking God for what is already done. Stop waiting for signs and start declaring that the way is already made. Stop doubting and start walking as if it is already yours. The power that created the universe is the power that is working in you now. There is nothing too great, nothing too difficult, nothing too far gone for God to restore, renew, and transform. Your situation is not permanent. Your struggle is not eternal. Your circumstances are not the final say. The final say belongs to the one who created all things, and He has declared that you are victorious. He has declared that the way is open. He has declared that you are already free. Walk in that truth, live in that truth, declare that truth, and watch as the impossible bends before the power of your faith. It does not matter what the world says. It does not matter what statistics say. It does not matter what the odds are. When God speaks, everything shifts. When God moves, no force in the universe can stand against it. When God opens a door, no one can shut it. And He is opening doors for you right now in ways you cannot yet see, in places you never expected, through paths you never imagined. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not without a way. The way is already before you. Step into it with confidence. Believe in it with all your heart. Speak it into existence. Rejoice as if it is already done, because it is. You are not meant to live in limitation. You are not meant to be bound by circumstances. The same power that spoke the world into existence is the power that is breathing life into your situation right now. There is no need to struggle. There is no need to worry. There is only the need to trust that the way has already been made. The moment you shift your awareness from lack to abundance, from fear to faith, from impossibility to certainty, the reality around you will conform. The world is only a reflection of what you accept as true. If you accept struggle, you will experience struggle. If you accept delay, you will experience delay. But if you accept that God has already made a way, then no force in existence can block what is meant for you. Every time you wake up and say, "I don't see a way," you are reinforcing the illusion of limitation. Every time you declare, "Nothing is working out for me," you are aligning yourself with delay. But the moment you say, "God has already provided," the moment you say, "My way is already open," the moment you act as if your blessing is already here, the world must respond. You do not need to force it. You do not need to chase it. You only need to align yourself with it. There is no power in the universe greater than the power that resides within you. That power does not beg. That power does not struggle. That power simply speaks, and it is done. You may think you are waiting on God, but God is waiting on you to step out in faith, waiting on you to believe without doubting, waiting on you to walk as if the promise is already fulfilled. Too many people wait for conditions to change before they believe. They wait for signs before they act. But the divine does not work that way. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That means you must have the evidence in your heart before you see it in the physical world. You must rejoice before the miracle manifests. You must move before the door opens. You must prepare as if the answer has already arrived. If you truly knew that your breakthrough was guaranteed, how would you act? If you truly believed that your prayer had already been answered, how would you live? Would you worry? Would you stress? Would you doubt? No, you would move in confidence. You would wake up with peace. You would walk in joy. You would speak with certainty. That is the secret. That is the key. To live as if it is already done, because in the unseen realm, it is. God does not operate by human logic. He does not need resources to be in place before He blesses you. He does not need conditions to be perfect before He moves. He does not need approval from anyone to bring your vision to life. When He declares it, it is already complete. But you must step into that completion with faith. The moment you begin to waver, the moment you begin to question, the moment you allow fear to creep in, you slow down the manifestation of what is already yours. But when you stand firm, when you refuse to accept anything less than the promise, when you declare without hesitation that the way is open, there is no force that can stop what has already been decreed. People may look at your situation and say it is impossible. They may tell you to be realistic, to accept what they see as the truth. But what they see is not the final reality. What they see is only a reflection of past thoughts and beliefs. Your future is shaped not by what has been, but by what you now choose to believe. The world has no power over you. Circumstances have no authority over your destiny. The only thing that matters is what you accept in your heart as true. When you know without a doubt that your way is open, then it must be so. Too many people give up too soon. They pray for a miracle, but when they do not see immediate results, they let doubt creep in. They allow their current reality to dictate their faith. But faith is not about seeing, it is about knowing. Faith does not say, "I will believe when I see it." Faith says, "I believe it, and because I believe it, I will see it." That is the divine law. That is the unshakable truth. Everything that exists was once unseen. Every breakthrough, every blessing, every miracle was once a thought, a belief, a certainty in someone's heart before it manifested in the physical world. You must stop looking at your situation through the eyes of limitation. You must stop measuring your future by what is happening now. You must stop allowing your faith to waver because of temporary conditions. The moment you say, God has already made a way, and you refuse to accept anything else, the way begins to reveal itself. It may not come how you expect. It may not unfold the way you plan, but it will come. It must come. That is divine law. That is spiritual truth. God is not bound by time. He is not limited by human understanding. He is not restricted by natural laws. What seems impossible to man is nothing to God. What seems too far gone to the world is nothing in the hands of the Creator. There are no closed doors in God's kingdom. There are no barriers too strong for His power. There are no situations beyond His ability to change. The moment He speaks, reality. The moment He moves, all opposition crumbles. The moment He declares, it is finished. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not trapped. The way is already made. The answer is already here. The blessing is already released. You must align yourself with this truth. You must reject every thought that contradicts it. You must silence every voice that speaks against it. You must declare with absolute certainty that God has already done it. And as you walk in that faith, as you move with that assurance, as you live in that conviction, you will see the impossible bow before you. There is no situation too big for the power of God to transform. No obstacle is permanent unless you believe it is. What seems like an impossible wall before you is nothing but an illusion waiting to be dissolved by faith. The moment you stop agreeing with limitation, it loses its grip. The moment you decide that you will no longer accept struggle as your portion, the doors begin to open. You do not need to know how. You do not need to figure it out. That is not your job. Your job is to believe. Your job is to declare that the way is already made. Your job is to move in expectation, not hesitation. When you do this, the mountains move, the rivers part, and the barriers that once held you back crumble before you. Do not let circumstances dictate your faith. Do not let what you see with your physical eyes convince you that things are not changing. There is more happening in the unseen realm than you realize. Just because you cannot see it does not mean it is not unfolding. The seeds of your breakthrough have already been planted. The shift has already begun. You are not waiting for God to move. He has already moved. The only thing left is for you to align yourself with His truth and receive what has already been prepared for you. Doubt is the only thing that can delay what is already yours. Fear is the only thing that can keep you in the same place. The moment you release all hesitation, the moment you stand firm in your knowing, the unseen begins to take form. Everything in life follows the law of faith. If you believe you are stuck, you will stay stuck. If you believe things are getting worse, they will. But if you believe that your breakthrough is inevitable, if you declare that your blessing is already here, if you walk as if you are already free, then freedom must manifest. It does not matter how long you have been waiting. It does not matter how many times you've tried before. It does not matter what anyone else says. What matters is what you decide right now. Will you continue to allow fear to dictate your life? Will you continue to believe in impossibility? Or will you step into the power that has been given to you? The power to shape your reality, the power to command things to shift, the power to stand firm and know that what has been promised cannot be denied. Many people wait for a sign before they believe. They wait for doors to open before they take a step. But faith does not wait. Faith does not hesitate. Faith moves forward even when there is no visible path. That is the secret. That is how mountains move. You must act as if the way is already open. You must speak as if the answer is already here. You must walk as if the victory has already been won. Because the truth is, it has. The moment you align with this, everything changes. God is not limited by time, and neither are you. What may seem like delay is only an illusion. What may seem like an obstacle is only a test of your faith. The moment you shift your perspective, the moment you see beyond the physical and into the unseen, you will realize that nothing has ever been withheld from you. The only thing that was missing was your alignment with it. The moment you stop asking how and simply trust that it is done, the way is revealed. You do not need permission to step into your blessing. You do not need approval from anyone to walk into what has already been promised to you. The only thing you need is the certainty that it is already yours. Speak it, declare it, stand in it. No more waiting, no more wondering, no more doubting. The way is open, the path is clear. Now walk in it with full confidence, knowing that nothing can stop what God has already set in motion. You are not here by accident, you are not in this moment by chance. Every challenge you have faced, every hardship you have endured has brought you to this exact place, and in this place you have a choice. Will you continue to believe in struggle, in lack, in limitation, or will you open your heart to the truth that has been waiting for you all along, the truth that you were never meant to suffer, the truth that you were never meant to be stuck, the truth that the door was always open, but you had to believe it to see it. God is not withholding anything from you. There is no force working against you, no unseen enemy keeping you bound. The only chains that exist are the ones you have accepted. The only barriers in your way are the ones you have agreed to. The moment you reject them, they lose all power. The moment you decide that you will no longer live according to struggle, everything shifts. You do not need to earn your freedom. You do not need to prove your worthiness. You were already chosen. You were already approved. The moment you accept this, the moment you walk in it with unwavering faith, everything must align with the truth you have. You may look at your situation and think, but I have tried before, I have prayed before, I have believed before, and nothing changed. But that is not true. Everything changes the moment you decide it has changed. The moment you declare with complete certainty that your breakthrough is already here, it must manifest. Not tomorrow, not next week, but now. Because the only time that exists in the realm of faith is now. When you say, "One day I will be free," you are pushing your freedom into the future. When you say, "One day my situation will change," you are delaying the very blessing that is already available to you. But when you say, "It is done. It is mine. The way is open now," the entire universe responds. Everything rearranges itself to match the truth you have claimed. You are more powerful than you have been told. You are more capable than you have believed. The authority to change your life has been in your hands all along. You do not need external proof. You do not need anyone to validate your faith. You simply need to stand in it. Speak as if it is already done. Move as if the path is already clear. Feel as if you have already received it. And watch as the impossible bends to your belief. God has always made a way. He has never failed. There has never been a situation too great, a challenge too overwhelming, a problem too complicated for him to solve. But the way is only revealed to those who trust. The way is only visible to those who refuse to be swayed by fear. That is why faith is not just a concept, it is a law. The law that governs all things. The law that says what you believe you will receive. What you expect you will experience. What you claim you will see. The greatest trap is waiting for things to change before you believe they have changed. That is not faith. That is doubt disguised as patience. Faith does not wait for evidence. Faith does not wait for permission. Faith moves forward as if the way is already made, and in doing so, it creates the very reality it expects. This is how miracles happen. This is how breakthroughs unfold. Not by waiting, not by hoping, but by knowing. The moment you stop seeking signs and start living in certainty, everything shifts. The moment you stop asking for proof and start walking in expectation, doors open. You do not need to beg for what is already yours. You do not need to plead for what has already been promised. You only need to rise up in full confidence, knowing that the impossible has already been made possible, and walk in that truth. Doubt will try to creep in. Fear will try to whisper lies. Your physical reality may still show signs of struggle, but none of that matters. What matters is your inner state. What matters is what you hold on to in your heart. Because your reality is only a reflection of what you believe most deeply. And the moment you shift your belief, your reality must follow. There is no need to struggle. There is no need to force anything. The moment you surrender to the truth that it is already done, peace washes over you. Worry disappears. Anxiety fades. Because you are no longer hoping, you are knowing. You are no longer waiting, you are receiving. You are no longer lost, you are found. Everything is aligning for your good. Every closed door was protection. Every delay was preparation. Every challenge was shaping you. And now the time has come. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. The way is open. The impossible is being undone. The only thing left is for you to step forward in absolute faith, knowing that you are already standing in your answered prayer. Stand firm in the knowing that God has already made a way for you. There is no need to wait, no need to question, no need to doubt. The moment you align with the truth that your breakthrough is here, it must manifest. Walk with confidence, speak with certainty, and move as if every obstacle has already been removed. The impossible is only impossible to the mind that refuses to believe. But to the one who stands in unwavering faith, all things are possible. Your blessing is not in the future, it is now. Your freedom is not on the way, it is here. Trust it, claim it, and walk boldly into the life that has already been prepared for you.